be very selective. Be selective with the partners you work with the projects which you accept to do. Be picky because it can be a question of life and death of the company itself. One small mistake can cost you really a huge money. Thank you for inviting me for this session. I'm a business expander. My role has always been to introduce new products in the new markets, and I have been engaged with the renewable energy market for nearly 20 years now. Since then, I was engaged with basically the complete value chain, starting with the component manufacturing, system integration, module making, and so on. The experience is going really from the investor side up to the operation and maintenance. We have been in the corporate life for quite a while, and just recently got on the independence track, which helps me actually to really be free from any let's say corporate guidelines, and I can really support the customer in a very neutral way because there is no corporation behind me.
This is very important when we speak about correct decisions for the client and unbiased information. This is what we all need. I heard that you have a huge experience in the market. How do you feel the evolution of the market? What is your insight onto that?
That's a really good question because if we talk about the challenges, they are pretty much all the same and all the time the same. One of the major challenges we have is that the market is not learning from the mistakes, from our own mistakes. And the reason, in my opinion, is the enormous price pressure. The companies have had very hard time to step out of the price competition to come with something what can be considered as a real value. And once you get yourself into the price battle, it's very difficult to step out of it. When I say that many of the mistakes are related to the prices or to the costs, that means the companies are really hardly surviving, and the investments for the research and development are to a certain extent limited. And of course, advocating these costs is one of the major roadblocks for many companies. They simply do not know how to present the products and the services and advocate for the high prices. And that's, in my opinion, the biggest challenge of the industry as a whole. If you compare it with the cars, if you would compare let's say common brands like Toyota and Hyundai, you would see on the other side Mercedes, BMW, whatsoever, that these cars are 3-4 times more expensive. But in case of EV, the gap between the high quality and let's say the average is much lower. But long-term reliability of the products is significantly different, not like with the cars. And that's something what is really bothering me because many people really focus on the capex side, but they somehow don't think that the PV system needs to last for 20, 30, 40 years.
If you are an end user, business or a private person, so how you should know this? Because we purchase solar or battery system once per lifetime, hopefully. So how do we know this? If we go to the market, where do we find this information and what to do?
If you are an investor, the very first and basic question is, and you need to ask yourself, am I the person who knows all the details, who has the competence to decide what is good, what is not? If yes, then it's fine. Then you simply follow your typical routine. If not, then before you even go to these 5 potential suppliers, you should hire someone who has the capability to do this on your behalf, who will be independent, who will be skilled, and who will be experienced in the PV industry to find you the best possible solution. I think this is the key. Once you have an advisor or somebody who will help you to make the investment as efficient as possible, then you can follow the next steps. PV investments are typically not cheap ones. I can hardly imagine to collaborate with someone and trust for decades someone who is not matching my values or ethics. This is not only in PV, but generally very important for the business development, very important for creating alliances and partnerships. And PV is quite a lot about partnership.
Maybe you have some calculations from your experience. How much money could possibly the expert hired independently save on the project basis? Because what I see in the market that many investors, they say it's not worth, it's just a waste of money, and anyway the company, the possible supplier, will provide me for free with some estimations, calculations, and comparisons.
This is true. Many companies tend to declare it so-called free of charge. How much money you can save? Well, the question is how critical mistakes could be happening. So imagine if you invest into a PV and there will be a fire or some accident happening, then obviously the damage will be enormous. So what I would say is that the investment into the, let's say, preparation phase is a fraction of the costs which could potentially come up in the later stage. If you make a mistake with the selection of the panels, for example, and you generate less than what you could initially, and then imagine in a time frame of 25 years, if you would calculate a wasted yield of, let's say, 10%, it's already a huge money. So it doesn't mean that we need to always think about the horror scenarios. Even the savings could be enormous if you hire the right people to do their job. In my opinion, investor is definitely not the one who would say, I don't care what's going to be in the future. If they say so, and if they say, well, there will be somebody responsible for it, there will be certain warranty, then first of all, the people should think that most of the companies which are on the market today have been on the market much shorter time than the warranties what they claim for. So if you have a module maker who has been here on the market for 5 years or 10 years, but he's declaring 30 years warranty, then there is something wrong about it. For everyone who has been on the market at least 1 or 2 decades, we all know how many companies have been disappearing from the market. And we are not talking about small names. These were giant companies and still were not able to survive. So what gives me the confidence that my supplier, my EPC, my maintenance company will be here in 5 or 10 years?
Okay, so how to identify those performers in the markets?
In principle, I would say one of the key criteria should be the financial strength and the stability and reputation of the company. It doesn't matter how perfect your system will be. If the supplier will disappear after a few years, you will be lost. Looking for companies with good reputation is of a high priority. Second, and probably the same importance, is to make sure that you are working with a company which has a good reputation of problem solving. Every company can have some problems. Every company can have some defective modules, inverters or connectors. If you have a supplier who does not even have a phone number or does not speak English, then it doesn't help you, So these 2 factors I would consider as most critical when selecting the right supplier.
By the way, recently at Solar Explain, we have done like a small internal analysis by comparing the companies in solar industry, which are performing well and which are performing so-so, and what is the difference, what are they doing in a different way. So those top performers, we see that there are 2 things they do well. So they have a great leaders inside the company, and then all of them have a kind of internal training system for their team. Because with trainings and with education and with the external consultancy in one way or another, you can set a quality bar for your team, and then everything is clear. And for the newcomers in the team, they perform in the similar manner. And this helps to ensure the quality for end clients.
Advice number 1 would be, don't be afraid to come up with a product or with a scheme or with a service which is exceptional. This will help you to ask for more money. This will help you to get rid of all the usual competition. And second advice would be very selective. Be selective with the partners you work with the projects which you accept to do. Be picky, because it can be a question of life and death of the company itself. One small mistake can cost you really a huge money. And the third very important factor is you need to be a long-term visionary person and company. You can't really think of the profits, what's coming in the next month or by the end of this year. You really need to focus. Where will your company, where will your project, and where will your PV installation be in 10, 20 years? How will it look like? What sort of costs do I need to expect in the meantime? What sort of efforts do I need to expect to be secure for that time? So long-term visionary thinking is also very important if you have such a long-term project like PV definitely is. Everybody can find me on LinkedIn. I'm presenting quite a lot of hints and information useful for just about anybody who is somehow related to the renewable energy market. My help to the people is linked to the selection of the right suppliers, to help them to set up the criteria which are important for the selection. And of course, I'm able to help investors and companies how to bring the new products, how to differentiate them on the market, and how to create a footprint on the new markets.